Hello Jaguars. I am now going to show everybody how to run the scorebook. This is an important job. Whoever is running the scorebook, that's the official score at a game. Even if everyone's yelling at the person that's running the scoreboard that shows the score, up on, that everyone can see, the book is the official score. So if there's a discrepancy, the book is what they say is right. So it'll be important just from the get-go to say you want to make sure that whatever it says in this book is exactly the same as what it says up on the scoreboard during the whole game, and make sure you're communicating and kind of checking it very frequently. I do it every time there's a score. I look at the scoreboard and I look at the book. So what I'm going to do is show you the book here. If my lovely assistant would wheel behind me. That's my wife, by the way, just so you know. The scorebook looks like this. It will be blank. There are two sides because you keep score for our team and our opponent. There are lots of things on here, some of which are not super important and some of which are very important. So I've made a sample so that you can see the things that we want you to do. Now you have to do this for both teams, but I just figured seeing one was good enough. But you do this for both teams during the game. So the first thing you want to do, you want to get to the game early, and you want to get all the names and the player numbers into the book for both teams. So you got a list of names and whatever number is on their back. It's really helpful if these numbers are in numerical order, because otherwise you're struggling to find who's where. If you have, this has a funny fold on it, but if you have more players than lines, you can put a line through the bottom here and have multiple players on a line. It's not ideal, but sometimes that happens. The other initial things that you need to put in are the team. Make sure it's clear which team is which. You can put the coach. You see Bobby Knight is coaching the Jaguars. Little step up there. Where we're playing, and if you can get the referee's name, that's helpful. It's not really that big of a deal, though. Okay. Now, the absolute number one most important piece of information is the running score. You should put a slash through every point that we score. So if the Jaguars score one free throw, you put a slash through the 1. Then if we come down and hit a triple, you put 2, 3, and 4. Then we hit a 2-point field goal, 5 and 6. Okay, and this score, whatever the last box, so here we've got 62 points. We were kind of doing having a good day offensively. That should be exactly the same as the scoreboard. Okay, so that's number one. The next, probably most important thing is to keep track of player fouls, because regularly, players foul out in a game. So whenever a player commits a foul, the referee will come to the score table and say, black number 11. And this is John Smith from the Pocahontas story, apparently, is playing for us. And you put a slash through the personal fouls. And you can see there's two kind of rows here right next to their name. There's personal fouls and then the quarters that they play in. So you keep track of the fouls. Sometimes coaches are going to say, hey, how many fouls does Johnny B. Good have? And you should have that information for them so that they can, make strategical decisions based on that. You also have to keep track of how many team fouls each team has during each half. Okay, and you do that by putting a slash, and then sometimes it can be helpful if you put the number there and whatnot. Once a team gets to 7 fouls. If it's anything but a player control foul, an offensive foul, the referee will explain that. But you need to tell the referee that the team is in 1-and-1. In other words, they're shooting free throws instead of just getting the ball out of bounds. And then when you get to 10, you shoot 2 free throws, not just a 1-on-1. And so it's really important also that you keep track of that, because the referee is going to ask you how many fouls do they have if it seems like they're getting a lot. And if you don't know, it'll be a problem, and it's kind of embarrassing. Everybody's looking at you. The fouls start over in the second half. Okay. Another key piece is keeping track of timeouts. Each team, it depends on the league and the tournaments and stuff, but generally teams get 3 full timeouts and 2 30-second timeouts. And so the referee should tell you black timeout, it's a full or a 30-second, and you put a slash through that, and this is for the whole game. And then in overtime, you get 1 timeout per overtime. Okay, another thing that players really like, and it's actually helpful, and it would be important to do, probably the next tier, but something you really should do, is keeping track of points. It's great if you can even keep track of like missed shots. If you really know what you're doing, you probably don't need to watch this video, but at least keep track of made shots. So this John Smith hit a 2, another 2, made a free throw, hit a 3-pointer, all in the first quarter. Then in the second quarter, he got one 2-pointer, and then apparently in the third quarter, this kid just went off and hit 10 3-pointers in a row or whatever, and then he only got 1 point in the fourth quarter. So then you can keep track of that. These numbers should add up to however many points we have in the first quarter. And at the end of the quarter, you write down the points down here. Okay, and that should all match up to everything else. And again, you're doing it on the other side as well. I'm taking a quick look here. You can keep track of technical fouls over here. If a player gets 1 technical foul, you put a slash over here. If they get 2, they're kicked out of the game. Likewise, there should be a place for the team to get technical fouls. Yes, the coach and the team can get bench technicals up here. It's rare, but it can happen. Let me briefly show you a little bit more complicated stuff that if you're really good at this, you can possibly do. So this person is showing made shots. They're also showing, they're designating free throws with a circle and a slash through it if they make it, and a circle if they miss it. You know, if you're interested in doing that, that's great. And if you can't do that, that's okay as well. And you know that won't be a big deal if you're not keeping track of missed shots. That's just more helpful for looking after the game. You can see, oh, player X missed 14 free throws. So I'm going to make the recommendation that you don't do this job if you don't know the big game of basketball, just because you're going to get thrown stuff at you, and there's a lot of lingo and whatnot that may be confusing. It is actually kind of a nice way to stay in the game and to kind of pay attention to the game, and I like doing it, but I'm coaching generally, so I can't. So anyway, that's pretty much what you need to do. A couple of quick reminders. Get to the game early and get the players' names and their numbers in the book for both teams. Get it from me or whoever the Jaguars coach is, and then you should get a list of their players, either off of their book, they'll likely have a book as well, or from just a piece of paper, they'll have their players' names listed. If you're trying to do that as the game is starting and it starts you off behind, it's kind of a nightmare. So, thank you. God bless, and go Jaguars.